going to go ahead and call the public hearing portion of the meeting to order this evening. And if you haven't been here before, I have kind of a little bit of a summary of how we like for the public hearing portion to kind of proceed, and then from there we will go into the actual planning commission portion of the meeting. So I'm Trey White, chairman of the City of Vilonia Planning Commission, and the purpose of these public hearing portion of this meeting is to obtain citizen comments and concerns on the issues that we have here tonight, and the three orders of business that we have public hearings on. We have two lot splits, one on Church Street, South Church Street, one on Bise Street, and then we have a conditional use hearing for 12 Old Hickory Drive. And then what we do is first we'll have the presentation. I'll call, for example, on Church Street, we'll have a person who's looking to do the lot split on Church Street. We'll have them come up and just real brief describe what's going on. Then we'll open the floor for any kind of public comment or concerns. From time to time we have some issues that are somewhat maybe differing opinions, and so we just ask that when you come up during the public hearing portion and those that are actually presenting their orders of business, we ask that you just state your name and your address, and especially for the public comments, we ask that you put your address, just because we want to know this planning commission, if you're citizens of Vilonia. We'd ask that you keep your speaking time to 2 to 3 minutes, and then if there are differing opinions, we ask that you just keep your comments courteous. We all can sometimes disagree, and we just ask that you just be courteous and considerate with your language and actions. All right. After the public comment time is completed, we will adjourn that order of business and go on to the next one, and just kind of hit repeat until we get down to the third one, which is the conditional use. And then after that one, we will adjourn the public hearing portion, and we will enter into our actual official planning commission meeting of the evening. All right. And just note that we are having the public hearing portion prior, and because it's planning commissioners, we want to hear the public comments before we actually go into our part of the meeting and take those into consideration. Okay. All right. With that, we're going to start in with the lot split at South Church Street. So yes, Ms. Sisson, I believe.
Yes. Hi, I'm Marcy Sisson. My address is 168 Road, Conway, Arkansas. Me and my husband own property at 46 South Church Street that we've had for 4 years. We are selling a piece of the property, the house, with only a select piece of the property. The brother-in-law that lives there doesn't want the whole 4.5 acres, so we had it surveyed out. 0.35 acres, and the rest 4.54 acres is being split separate. We've had a survey, we were going to close, we come to find out we had to do this, so I've submitted all of the paperwork, all of the notifications and everything.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is there any public comments on the lot split on South Church Street? All right. We will close that. I have 7:04. Close that. We will go to the public hearing portion for the lot split on Bise Street. No, Mr. Hepburn.
Hello. I'm Robert Hepburn. I live on 57 Polanco Lane. And I just want to split the lots on Bise Street.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Any public comment on the Bise Street lot split? All right, we will close that at 7:05. We are ruled.
Thank you. Y'all good night.
We will now go into the conditional use hearing for 12 Old Hickory Drive. And just kind of as a couple of, it's been a minute since we've done a conditional use hearing, and I just wanted to follow up and just note that as part of our zoning ordinance, section 7.3, we'll kind of see what's going on with the kind of describes the process for conditional use hearing. And if there's any questions as far as that goes. And I believe your name is Joey. If you don't mind, just introduce yourself and just kind of to note for the planning commissioners, you'll kind of see this was a little bit of a gray area that came up with the city, and so it seemed like it fell within the conditional use when we were talking with fire chief, and so that's why I'm Joey's here tonight.
Yes, sir. Joey Aston, my address is 100 SFC, 770 in Forest City, Arkansas. I'm the director of the St. Francis Area Developmental Center. We're a private nonprofit, and I think I've covered that in the letter to y'all as well. Very simple, just like if you're familiar with Pathfinder, ADD, Easter Seals, we're programmed just like them around the state. We're in 19 counties. I actually used to work at the Conway Human Development Center, which is where I met Todd Garrett, who lives on Broad Street here in town, and I'll get to Todd in a minute. So we've had a great relationship for a long time through Special Olympics, and with my relationship with folks at CHDC, that we had some guys that needed to transition out when they were 18. Not everybody that transition out does well. We call it a least restrictive setting. A lot of the guys can't handle the independence. We had a couple guys that we tried there, didn't work, and one of the commitments I made to Todd and for the town was if we had anybody that we moved into the home that presented any problems, we'd immediately move them out, which we've done. Skyler is the lone tenant here. He was brought to the Conway Human Development Center. Good backstory on him because I think it's important. When he was 15, he was abandoned there by his dad. His mother's a drug addict down in Florida. His dad was actually in law enforcement, but just dropped him off. So he's been there till he was 18. And I met him through Special Olympics. So when they discharged him, Todd came to me and said, hey, what can we do? So we've done this around the state and other places. I said, well, we'll buy a home. We'll just get a home and maybe some other guys can live there. Skyler deserves the right to live in a nice home. So we came up here and we did that. And for not just because of our relationship with Todd, but we also we can go anywhere in the state. Like I said, we're in 19 counties. We do a little research, and obviously low crime area here in Vilonia. It's a growth area here in Vilonia, so I think for us it allows us at some point, if we remain in the area, to have an adult day program. And I think people that live in Vilonia as it grows deserves the right to have a program similar to our day programs as well. So we bought the home, and we apologize if we needed to do a conditional use permission prior to that. We didn't know because we've done it in other areas, and it's not been raised. We've got homes in, of course, Forest City, Augusta, and Marion, and we're looking at sites outside of Bryant.
Okay. All right. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
You bet. Do we have any public comments regarding the conditional use at 12 Hickory?
Yes. I'm Bob Max. I live in Green Timberway, Vilonia.
Yes, sir.
I've got a few questions. How many people does he plan on having living in the home?
If you'll just voice your questions, and then we'll allow him, after you get done with your questions, and he'll come back up as a rebuttal time. But go ahead and get all your questions or comments out this time, if you don't mind.
Okay, and why did you buy a home in a neighborhood to make it into a home like this?
Okay.
Why don't you buy a piece of commercial property? I personally think it brings the price of homes down in the neighborhood.
Okay.
That's all I know.
All right. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right. Any other comments on the 12 Old Hickory?
When I ask questions from my sister-in-law, she has a cochlear implant and she doesn't hear well.
Yes. Do you mind? We'll bring the mic if we can too.
No, I can come up here if I just.
Yeah. You bet. Come on.
I did pretty good with the firm travel over here, don't you know, that's how, do I need to go this way?
Well, if you speak pretty loud, yeah, go ahead and do
My sister-in-law moved here a year ago in July.
Name and address,
I'm
please.
sorry, my name is Sandra May, I live at 33 Mill in Bologna.
Okay.
My sister-in-law moved here a year ago in Bologna in July. And it wasn't a month after she moved into the house. She was at 10 Old Hickory Lane, right next door to this house. And it wasn't a month after she moved in the house that we found out that this was bought for a transitional home. And I thought that was a little odd, because it's a nice neighborhood, lots of kids, lots of activities, you know. We were looking for her a quiet home. She just moved from Florida, she retired, and kind of looking for a quiet living, you know. And so the kids in the neighborhood, they don't show up to school without, they're playing the streets, and we've been over there, and everything's been pleasant and private and stuff. And so she's moved in, and the guy that showed up when they first moved in, he said, if there's ever any problem, you let us know, we'll deal with it. And so, hadn't really been any problems, but then began to be a problem with garbage. The garbage can was always overflowing, and when we didn't put it out, and I think they had to get TDF out on an emergency situation one night to get it picked up. And then she wound up with stinky garbage put in her garbage can, and she doesn't even have the same garbage service I do. And so she had to scrub her can. I mean, it's just kind of a little bit of a nuisance. And so I don't know who moved in or who moved out. We don't know. We just know there's cars and there are people seeing after them, but I don't know if there's anybody there 24 hours on the clock. She doesn't even know how many young men are there, living there. So that's just been a concern. I guess my concern is we thought we were moving her into a little bit of a quiet neighborhood so she could, enjoy some quiet time after she retired, and then have a transitional home put next to her, which is a little disturbing to me at first. And then she said, well, and she's quiet, she doesn't bother people, and they don't bother her. But she did say that she was out in the yard one day picking up their trash out of her yard. When she told one of the boys, but her, she said, well, y'all need to pick up the trash when it flows over the can. He said, I'm not the only one that lives here. That's what he told her. So, he didn't pick it up, I'm just saying, there's just a little bit of a nuisance, and I just didn't understand it either. And I didn't know, of course, I just assumed she wasn't presented an opportunity to discuss this prior, because she'd only been there a month before they moved in. So she had probably wasn't even notified as far as being over the home, just didn't think of notify her. But then from what he said, there was a conditional use in there. So that's my concern, that this is just done without neighbors and people not knowing about it.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Good. Thank you for your comment. Any other comments on the Old Hickory Drive? All right, at this time, Joey, you're allowed to come back up and have some kind of a final rebuttal comment, try to answer some of these questions.
So it's a 4-bedroom home. If he had roommates, so that would be more than 3. That's what we looked at. We're probably going to keep it at 2 if he had a roommate. And the trash situation is noted. In fact, Todd, who lives up here, brought that to my attention, and Todd's really good with addressing it with Skylar and the guys. So we apologize to the neighbor for that, but that's an issue that we're aware of. And there was an issue with garbage pickup. I think it was just a one-off deal with some confusion maybe with the sanitation folks, but they got that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. I've got 7:13. We will close the public hearing portion of the conditional use hearing. And we will proceed into unless somebody has a reason not to, we will proceed into our regular scheduled planning commission meeting for the month of August. I've got 7:14, Todd, if you want to. And our first order of business is the approval of the minutes for the month of July. And I have those. We received these as part of the packet from Jay. I don't think that I'm going to read through everything, but I will do a quick summary. During the month of July, we had a public hearing regarding the Christian Academy preschool. Had a public comment period. That we also had another public hearing. Mr. Petner was here for the lot split, as far as that was concerned. We had a public hearing on the development at 1011 Main Street. And then we proceeded into our regularly scheduled planning committee planning commission meeting. We discussed the Central Christian Academy and made some notes there. We also had the lot split at Weaver and Sage Street that we talked about, and we had quite a bit of discussion regarding the commercial development proposal at 1011 Main Street, which is also on our own business tonight. Any questions regarding the minutes or any corrections that need to be made for the month of July? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
We have a motion, second, and a second from Ryan. Okay. comments? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes for the month of July, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none. We will proceed into the old business portion of our meeting tonight. First item of business is the daycare project for Watson. I believe we received, as part of our packet, site plan. Was there any comments, questions, concerns regarding that site plan portion? I would make a note that as far as if we looked at the site plan, there was some off-street parking per our zoning ordinance 6.5.3.5. Talks about parking pavement if it's larger than 5 spaces, and I think that's been a pretty consistent nature unless we want to grant any type of waiver. Otherwise, I think we would ask that the owner pave that parking there on the north side. Any comments or thoughts as far as that goes?
The parking spaces north of the new proposed building?
Yes. And that they, and what the other part of that is, I don't believe the owner's here or anybody tonight, but, one of the things we made to clarify, I don't know if they need those full 40 spaces, right? And so some of the landscaping, I think, cuts off at 7,000 square feet, requirement for the parking portion. And if they're getting close to that 7,000 square foot threshold, and so as long as they stay underneath that, I don't know that the landscaping requirements are necessarily keep in. Any other thoughts or comments?
No, I agree though.
Okay. Any other, as far as the comment or how do we want to proceed? I believe the part of our minutes last month discussed the part where we needed to actually see the actual site plan, or they needed to produce a site plan, and I believe this is their offering of that. So
I'll make a motion, we approve their site
plan. Do we want to ask them to pay that?
Yes.
Cover?
Yes.
Okay.
However we want to word that exactly, but yes.
All right. Have a motion by Mr. Coker to approve the site plan based on the paving of the north parking area.
I'll second.
We have a second by Ryan. Any other comments? If not, all those in favor of approving the site plan as presented by for the daycare project with the correction of paving the north parking lots, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none. All right. We will go on to the next order of old business, barrier project. Is anybody here for the barrier project? Not. All right. Sorry. Okay. Okay. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. All right. So,
Yes, sir. So,
a couple things real quick. So, if you notice on the, let me be sure I'm saying this correctly. Okay. We received an email from Trey Foster today, and that email talked about his letter of recommendation. All right. The plans, just kind of catching everybody back up. We also received an email on August 20th, because we had a special meeting. The mayor called a special meeting with some of the utility folks and development folks here in town with Mr. Barrier, and as part of that, Trey Foster had sent out a letter that was kind of a summary of a lot of those comments that came out of that meeting. And I believe we received that on August 20th. In fact, today we received an email from Kelly that had Trey Foster's comments, as well as a set of plans on the very project. And those plans were revised to accommodate, or to try to accommodate Mr. Foster's comments, I believe, because those were different than what we actually received in our official package. So those site plans, on that packet that we have received today, that's a different set of plans. And one of the critical items that I think I noticed was the building that is off to the west portion of the property, which I believe was presented to us last month as phase 2 or something of that nature. That's kind of all been brought in and now is included as this complete development. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, because Mr. Foster had wanted us to show that phase on the drainage report and show that up front so we could be prepared for the runoff for that.
Okay.
So we just went ahead and added that into this phase, and we want to get approved for the entire project, all 3 buildings. We did revise the plans based on his comments on August 20th. After y'all's meeting, he had some additional comments, even from the first set of reviews. So we've addressed all those there. I just received those 3 hours ago from Kelly. So after reviewing, it looks like a couple points. We're short 6 parking spaces. We can revise that, no problem. I think some power poles we had in some same areas as some trees, and that we're going to revise. There was some minor things on there. He did approve the drainage study. We will get those revised into you guys. We would ask for approval based on that. I think one of the biggest things, the reason why I came tonight to discuss in person, is to ask y'all if we can have these 3 buildings without subdividing the lot out. That's going to be the biggest, that would be the biggest detriment to the project if we cannot get a conditional approval on that. We do have plans for 911 purposes, to put big numbers on the buildings, building 1, building 2, building 3. So if there is an emergency, somebody can locate the buildings easily. If we do have to subdivide it, y'all know what comes with that. You got 3 different driveways, 3 different plots, 3 different subdivisions. Definitely want to stay away from that. So I would definitely ask the Planning Commission to please allow that conditional approval for this project. I think the last thing was the sidewalk. We can either pay you $12,000 or build a sidewalk.
And that was part of Trey's comments, I believe, on the.
Yeah.
Part of his comments in the letter, not necessarily part of, and there may have been comments actually in the actual.
There's comments on the memo there and actually on the red line.
Sure.
I texted Scott a little bit ago prior to this meeting after I talked, Kelly emailed me. I haven't got a response back, so I don't know what route we're going to go right now, but I can certainly let you know that before we apply for the building permit. I wouldn't think that you need to know that tonight.
Okay.
But we'll either build a sidewalk or pay the $12,000 allowance that he had recommended.
Okay. So as he alluded to, as part of our zoning ordinance, section 6.3, it talks about principal buildings, and it's a small paragraph, so I will read that this evening. It says, a lot of parcel of record shall be occupied by no more than 1 principal building or structure. Exceptions may occur provided this regulation specifically permits more than 1 principal building on a lot of record. For example, duplex or a townhouse, residential, a planned unit development, or multiple building developments in commercial districts. So this is obviously, there's more than 1, and I brought this up during our August 15th meeting, and I was pretty, open with Mr. Barrier and said, I have no idea what the Planning Commission, what direction we'll go in evaluating this. It's not that we don't have developments where there's more than 1 principal building on a piece of property. You can take a school, you can take a church, but most of those have been all the school buildings are a school. All the church is the church, whether you're over there, I guess, a building or not. This is actually 3 different types of uses as far as the building. You have a laundromat, you have a flea market, an auction house.
I will say that I would ask for this because Scott is going to own and operate all 3 buildings himself. He's not looking to the best of my knowledge that he has relayed to me in any of this, that he's going to build these 3 buildings and sell one of them or lease one of them out. The plan is he's going to be the entrepreneur of all 3 buildings.
Sure.
So he's going to own the 3. They're just going to be disconnected on the same parcel. That's why I would ask the
Is that
plan.
saying that you put in stone that he will never sell it? You know what I'm saying?
No,
you can't do
Because now
that.
we're gonna, if you're gonna run all 3 of them, that's saying one thing, but then if you're gonna lease one out to somebody,
Well, for now, if he owns all 3, we can always come back and subdivide each building out because each one of them has their own utilities that you'll see on the site plan. So they're definitely set up for certain.
So do you think that, I think you drive around other towns like Conway, we go see different, multiple building developments, right, and they'll all be of the same similar architecture. Do you think he's gonna have similar architecture so that you walk in or you drive in and every building within that development is the same, or do you think these are 3 distinct, different looking buildings?
No, they'll be all the same style structures, meant to the building, whatever is required for the building permit or exceeded. But it will be all the same style buildings. We're not gonna build a brick stone building and a metal building and a trailer. I mean, it's all gonna be the same thing.
So similar facades, similar sizes, or
A little bit different sizes
Different
because,
sizes.
yeah, the laundromat, I mean, you don't need a huge laundromat, whereas the treasure chest, the big warehouse is gonna be a little bigger than that. So they're gonna be a little different sizes, but same owner, same look. If he ever gets to the point where he would like to sell them, I would certainly expect y'all to require a lot split, just like these other people are doing.
That was my only question, Trey. Right now, it sounds like a great idea and everything, but obviously things last and future happens and we split them up. Does everybody get a different driveway? How does all that work? I couldn't really dig into it and find anything that pointed that out. So, I mean, that was my only concern, reviewing everything. And then something doesn't sell now, we've got a vacant building with 2 others. So, other than that, I mean, everything else was fine to me, so.
And I think that's the main question before us is, do we consider this a multiple building development in an commercial district? Because the zoning allows for it. As far as there's a caveat of the zoning that allows for it. And if we're going to allow for multiple building development as a planning commission, there are certain constraints that we could apply, because like what we were just talking about, whether it's same facades, like you mentioned, whatever else, same look. As far as the drives,
I mean, I definitely think this falls under a planned commercial development, so it's not just 3 buildings. I mean, they've done their work. And, I mean, that's my opinion of it.
I don't have a problem with it as long as the buildings all look similar in nature, so that it's, just a kind of congruent look, and it's all one parcel now. So even if they decided to sell it, it's likely gonna sell it all as one. If it doesn't, it's gotta come before us to split it anyway, if it's all one parcel.
And I agree with that too. Jack Bill, I'd rather have one driveway, because that's kind of our big deal. That's a 45 through there. We don't want multiple driveways. I'd rather see one driveway personally. So I think we're all right. Like I said, we can split it if we have to later, but I'd rather see one driveway with a longer deal, so you don't have people going crazy hitting each other. This one going this way, this one going this way. I like the one driveway, personally.
Yep.
And I think it fits perfectly. He's done like Ryan said.
So one of the kind of state devil's obvious things here. Okay, one is trying to take in, assuming that you will be addressing all the comments, but I think you have to put that as part of the motion because that would be part of what Trey Foster's recommendation would be. There was, which I think you were not asking for a waiver on any of those comments that you looked at, even though you haven't went through any of those. But as right now, we would be asking or requiring that you adhere to all the comments that Trey had, right? And then, as far as, doesn't bother me if it says an hour later,
Personally, on the sidewalk, if you drive down through there's houses on each side. As long as he sets it back, and if they're willing to give the 12, I'd rather have the 12 and not build the sidewalk at this time. That's just
It's a sidewalk nowhere.
because there ain't any sidewalk even close to that. There's houses on each side. I think it looked really odd to put a sidewalk. I'd rather have the money as the sidewalk for future, because
I agree. Would the planning commission be able to, if we gave you an easement, could you waive the fee for the future?
I don't think we can do that.
Or can you come off the 12,000 in?
I don't know that that's our decision, truth be known, because
Whose decision would it be?
that would be part of the city engineers. And I think we would almost have to bring that before the city council, because that's part of our support zoning
When
that
it
we
comes to
have.
the money?
Yeah, and we're charged with, sticking by the rules.
Would we have a chance to negotiate that rate at some point?
And from my standpoint, and I'll let everybody else talk, but we're charged with, trying to uphold the zoning ordinance as it's been given to us, right? And as part of that, we don't have to say.
And it's calculated on those concrete prices that are already.
Yeah, and that was calculated on one person saying not any ordinance or city council.
Well,
That was just something
but
he came up with,
No,
50%.
but as far as the dollars and cents, of course, you just don't know how you'd ever fix that rate, unless.
and you may do it yourself, be cheaper than the 12. Then you do it. If you want to do it, you can do it. I mean, you may do it for 5,000. Who knows?
I'm just saying, could we have some further discussions about if we just paid you and gave you an
That
easement?
just wouldn't be with us, that's all.
I'm asking, who would that be with, and
So-
so we still get
so-
approval with talking about
That's a
it?
great
We do.
That's a great lead in to, and one of the things as far as,
Either they put it in or they do the move.
so as part of this, and you'll see this as part of Trey's recommendation, and I would refer you back to, I believe it's, part of the development portion of our documents is section 3.3.4, which it talks about, areas in the city limits, a building permit is required. I think at the time of when you're filing for a building permit, and it's part of those architectural plans and site plans and things of that nature, that would probably be the time to negotiate. Unless does anybody else have a different opinion from that?
So we can get approved and under the condition that we negotiate, either pay that what he states or negotiate with the city on a different rate or a different plan, whatever works for the city.
To me, this is, I don't know about negotiating. We're going to be going with the letter that's presented to us from Trey, as far as that goes. So it's either $12,000 or you do it before you install it, like Corbin said.
You may do it a lot cheaper. You may price it, do it for 5,000. And do it.
Okay.
If he agrees to install the sidewalk, can be done with
Town building.
For the city.
For the occupancy.
For the city of it.
What other? Any other questions or comments? Does anybody want to step out and make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve it per sidewalks, the sidewalk situation, and
Trey Foster's comments on the markups.
we knew Trey Foster's comments. And I'm gonna put this in there, which I know you're gonna do this, just because we did it to the other laundromat, as long as you hook up to the sewer, which I know you're going to. Can you allow that in the comment? Because I know you're gonna hook it all up to the sewer.
Yes.
Just
And
for
set
the-
up a septic tank, you're saying?
Yeah, you're not gonna do a septic tank on nothing.
No.
So,
And
because we did that to the other laundromat, that was the motion I made a little on, that as long as they did, as long as it goes to the sewer. As long as you hook up to the sewer and do trade fosters, deals, sidewalks, however y'all want to do it.
I mean, our plan definitely is to look into the sewer,
Yeah.
like we talked about
Yeah.
last meeting for a month.
I'm just saying,
But I can't guarantee that the sewer department's going to allow that for me. Y'all talked about that last meeting. Did they have any issue, did they foresee any issues doing that?
Well, as far as, that doesn't fall under our review.
Well, at the meeting with the sewer department, everybody was there and they had some comments.
So if you're approved here tonight, for this planning commission will do their part as far as the site plan. What we will need from city staff before anything can proceed any further, any dirt turned or any work that's done to get the building permit, we'll have to have an engineer, we'll have to have the engineered plans, we'll have to have the architectural plans, we'll have to have the review from the state of Arkansas, the health department on all the plumbing. We'll sit down with the waterworks, the sewer department, we'll sit down with the code enforcement and make sure all applicable codes are met. You're going to have to put in a fire hydrant. I don't know if you got that. Mr. Berger gave you those comments from the meeting.
Yes, sir.
There's some other things that we'll have to do. We'll have to make sure that the highway department is all good. And that's a different review process, but we'll work with you on that.
I was just speaking, I know all that, I was just speaking specifically. Yes, we're gonna hook into the sewer as long as the sewer department has no septic tanks or planned.
I'm just going to add that into the motion.
That's fine.
Right.
Trade foster comments.
Because we did that, I did that to I made the motion, other laundromat, you know.
I don't see any problem with that. That's the plan.
So, make a motion that we approve the site plan for trade fosters comments plus connection to the sewer.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Coker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Patrick. Any additional comments at this time?
I guess one there, just, if we do have the issue of subdividing it later on and then we keep one entrance, you can do a cross access, he's gonna cover all those lots with one entrance, be just fine.
Yeah.
Just so it's not a big concern later on, this needs a way to cover it.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve, contingent upon trade fosters, the city engineer's comments and the connection to the sewer. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is there any opposed? There are none. Has been approved by the planning commission. Thank you, Mr. Toker. Have a good evening, sir. All right, we will now proceed into the new business. But one thing, Mr. Toker, I was going to let you know, there are planning commission review fees.
She emailed that to me.
Okay, so we have $50 on lot split for Sisson and Hetner, and then you got $554 for barrier and Watson got 206. All right, thank you.
Get your check cut.
All right. First item of business is the lot split on Church Street.
I think they went on the numbers just to say.
And anything that, is there any concerns with the lot split? I don't see anything else, so if not, I would, we'll get.
So I have a little bit of knowledge about this because my company's closing one part of this.
Okay.
The 0.35 acre tract, the current driveway entrance, it is across the easement that's on the remaining 4.54 acre tract. So when they sell that 0.35 acres, it will be selling that piece and also granting an easement across the remaining 4.54 acres. It's just this little piece right here that comes where the driveway comes in off the road, in case anybody hadn't noticed that. So the split is the split, and then they'll have that easement for the driveway.
Okay.
They don't need it for access because the whole property borders the street, but it's there for the current driveway.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? None, anybody?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Mr. Sims. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Bob. Any other comment? If none, all those in favor of approving the lot split on Church Street, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. It is approved. All right. The lot split on Say Street. Any comments as far as that goes? I noticed this time the 3-to-1 ratio was held as far as the width versus the depth. So that was corrected from when we seen here a few months back. Any other questions, comments?
Well, it's not really a subdivision plan, it's just a survey.
It's not subdivision.
It's not just a lot of kind of minor subdivision approved.
Gina, is there any concerns with that as far as you're concerned?
I don't have a concern about it, but I'm not exactly sure about the wording of what Patrick's asking about what would require for a minor subdivision. So I don't have that in front of me.
So is it split, so are they trying to do a survey and just split it, and so I guess it would be illegal, but that'd qualify for that legal description, just to split the two pieces of the property. Is that what you're asking, Patrick?
Yes, sir, I was just trying to see if this constitutes a subdivision since it's divided. A lot of cities will do, if you do less than 5 acres, when you divide something in your city limits, you have to do it as a lot split subdivision, a minor subdivision. I didn't know if this would fall under that or not.
I don't think we have that on ours.
I think when that was called the Pierce addition, when that was all done, that whole place, and it was actually, because it's way before sewer, so they had to do bigger lots and all that, and it was actually sold, if I remember right, and I'm pressed for somebody else may know it, it was sold by Meeks and Bounds.
That's correct.
It wasn't actually even sold.
It's a lot.
If you know what I'm talking about. It was sold by Meeks, it was called Pierce Edition, it was sold by Meeks and Bounds, so all that was not plotted like that from day one, when it was a hayfield.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that helps or not.
It does.
Good, thank you. All right. Anybody willing to make a motion on the lot split for Safe Street?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Ryan. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second, Brandon. Any other comments? If not, all those in favor of the lot split on Safe Street, then please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. That is approved.
Mr. Chairman, note for the staff, there was a little bit of confusion on the last time. Now, the lot split that he came in for before allowed for 2 homes on Weber Street, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then this will allow for 2 on Say.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, the next order of business is the conditional use at Old Hickory, 12 Old Hickory. All right. Any questions, concerns? What are our thoughts as far as presented?
So just for clarity, at this time, this is a home that's owned by an entity that's occupied by an individual or more than one individual that's not the owner.
Right, he's a tenant, yes, ma'am.
A tenant, and they may or may not have intellectual disabilities or some sort of
No, ma'am, that's.
some sort of aging out of the.
No.
Okay.
So this could very well be Skylar's permanent home.
Yes.
It's not necessarily transitional for him.
Okay.
There's not an age out. he aged out at the HDC and they discharged him, and he essentially had to pick a provider. He knew me through Special Olympics, and I know Todd, of course, through Special Olympics. They chose our agency to be the provider. And that's when we came up and thought, with Todd being here, and Todd agreed to be the guardian just prior to his discharge.
Okay.
And we thought this would be a good location for Skylar as well.
So this is an adult tenant living there and sometimes up to 3 roommates.
Could have a roommate.
How is
Or
the,
a roommate.
just out of curiosity,
Is this any different than, someone buying a house for renting?
That's the gray area I think that you got into, because we're an agency, and
I understand, but
Right.
someone's paying
Right.
the lease on this house.
And he does. And Skylar needs direct care staff. I mean, there may be at some point as he grows and matures and gets older and we provide some sufficient training that he'll need less staff. Maybe, and what we would hope is that he wouldn't need overnight staff. Right now, if he's there, staff is there. He tends to
yeah,
have
somebody
somebody
stays there 24 hours as far as that. That's why we said it wasn't a home occupation, right? Because is our definition of home occupation.
He actually attends, he attends Pathfinder, he works there, and and that's what he does. And Pathfinder, you see the van in town just a few times up here. They serve a lot of folks, and it's important to note too that there are at a minimum of 5 more people that receive waiver services in Vilonia from other agencies. So it's not uncommon around the state. Adults 18 and over, there are about 5,500 adults in the state that are on that Medicaid waiver program. There are 40 licensed residential sites, and we have congregate living spaces in Forest City where it is a much different setting. We have one that has 11 ladies living in it, and that is a different structure altogether. But of that 5,500, probably less than 1,000 of those people live in those restricted settings of the group homes. The rest will live in community homes. They may live with their parents, they may live on their own and receive staff, but they're all just all served in that manner. And that doesn't include the children that are 18 and under now that we're beginning to see children with intellectual disabilities and severely involved that are living in homes.
So are you subject to Department of Health inspections or anything of that nature?
So the state doesn't license the homes in the community. At our congregate living sites, where we have 8 or more, they license those homes. They license the service. Every agency.
So it's more like what he was saying, a tenant, type
Exactly.
of
And it wouldn't be any different than somebody leasing a home and receiving personal care services, or a senior that had a CNA that came in and provided services to them as well.
Okay.
And again, it varies based on the individual. We've got guys that can be I got Michael, he's a great example, guy that lives in Forest City. Michael needs minimal service, about maybe 4 hours a day because he's a higher functioning guy. Skylar's not there yet, just coming out and giving his background of his family being abandoned and such. He needs the structure, but he doesn't need a restrictive setting such as one of our group homes or one of our facilities. They're 24-hour staffed, and most of those guys are going to be. We do serve some people that are really rough over in the Forest City area, and I like to keep those guys close to me. The Forest City, we've taken guys from jail, but we wouldn't do that here. That doesn't make any sense for me. So we have space for all of those guys like that in Forest City. But what we see in the Central Arkansas area that we're beginning to serve, we've got 70 employees that stretch down from Batesville to Warren. All of those people live in a home of their own or with their family.
So just to address a couple of comments as far as, how it, as far as trash or yard.
Well, I think Todd sufficiently addressed that. We got word about the trash being out in the yard. And I'll make sure that our neighbors have my phone number. If there's ever an issue, I probably should have done that on the front end. So I do everywhere else. I make myself available to anybody that needs to call me. With regard to transitional, I don't see when we buy a home in the community, typically, I know at Marion we've got maybe 4 homes over there. And those guys have been there since we bought them probably 10, 11 years ago.
Any other questions?
So back to the original bill, what we first talked about it being just a homeowner renting a house out. Is that even, if we look at it that way, does that even fall?
That's right, I was saying the conditional use approval, they just need it, right? So that's my question tonight. Joey, you're kind of our identity, so.
No, I understand.
But to ask questions though, because I think, when fire chief, when he was going through the code enforcement, came across this, how do you classify this structure, because it seems to be very similar. It seems it's a landlord-tenant kind of setup.
I agree.
So how do we, I'm looking
I don't think we can do anything.
well, and so the, if you were going to term this facility, you would term it, I say facility, I don't want to term it, if you were going, but your situation, this setup or whatever else, it's just a transition?
Now, again, a lot of our folks, when they move into the other houses, we have our own stake, they stay. We've got guys that lived in a home that we've owned, that's just been there for years and years. No, it's not transition as you might see. We talk more about transition when it's on the behavioral health side.
Okay.
And that's, we've had that in Forest City, in fact, behavioral health homes, and the guys come in, they receive services, they don't have a guardian. We're fortunate Skylar has a guardian, so even if Skylar were a problem or couldn't make his decisions, we've got Todd to fall back on that really directs his plan of care that we provide.
Okay.
So if I may, I'm not going anywhere. We live in Vilonia, me and my wife does, and everything else. We're here, we're only about a mile and a half from Skylar and everything else, so we're not going anywhere, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
I just want, just one little thing about it. If there happens to be a problem person, like there was, right?
He's gone.
Yeah, right. Just making sure that we know in the future that we're not going to have to keep dealing with that, right?
No.
Especially being in a residential neighborhood.
We probably didn't vet him very well. I've known TJ from Special Olympics. And, frankly, when they're at this Conway Human Development Center, it is very structured. I mean, they have 24-hour plans of care. It's regimented. And then when a guy like TJ got out, he just couldn't handle the freedom, and he wanted more freedom. And he's mature, and he's probably a guy that's, he's in Forest City now, one of our independent living apartments. But I suspect that at some point he's just going to say, heck with this, and he's going to go back to South Little Rock, Pine Bluff, and just live there. And I'm afraid of what's going to happen to him. But, again, my commitment to Todd on the front end is that we weren't going to come up here and do this and me deal with some of my guys I deal with in Forest City. So, that's
That's what I'm.
Yeah, I got it, and neighbors have a right to be concerned when you're doing things like that. But I think Skylar is just a model guy. Skylar also, just point of interest, he's a bit of a celebrity for y'all in Vilonia now. He will be on the USA, Arkansas Team USA games, gone to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and representing Arkansas in track and field next summer. Todd actually is a unified softball coach, so I wouldn't give Todd celebrity status, but certainly Skylar.
I mean, if this is something that needs conditional use approval just to keep there from being an issue for them, but in my mind, I don't see it that way. They're seeing this as his permanent residence. This is just the same as if somebody were a landlord-tenant situation, in my opinion.
I agree.
And as far as people needing care in and out, that can be at anyone's home.
Do we, as the fire chief jumps across these set situations, is it a situation where they always need to be referred to us in order to go through a hearing? Not necessarily each entity vetted out, or do we need that? Because I think fire chief's looking for direction, from that standpoint.
And the reason why I feel like I do some direction was because it's not a person that owns the house. It's a business that owns the house, or an entity that owns the house. Sure. That's all I'm getting at. And it was kind of like
plenty of other businesses own multiple houses.
You're right. I was just saying that's why I wanted to get direction with it, because I didn't really know.
And I do think the council in the future may need to look at it. We've had this issue 2 or 3 times in the past year. It's a gray area for us.
Not technically, like the one we had before was more of a home-based business.
Right.
That they had.
But it's a gray area.
Yeah,
the council needs to look at.
Something to be addressed, but the one we had before was more of a business type setting, and this is just someone renting a place to live.
Okay.
My feeling is.
So, if I'm hearing there's no conditional use recommendation required, and we consider.
And does that cause a problem for them going forward if we don't approve it? Does it cause a problem?
No.
We'll
As far as
continue to
city's
bring stuff
concerned?
It's brought to the table by you, right?
Okay.
So I would, since we have it as an item of business, Mr. Coker, correct me here, you've had the most history, but I would just say, do we even take a vote on it, or do we just say that it's not a conditional use, or do we just say business closed? I don't know. Does anybody have an opinion on that? Do we want to vote and say it's not required as a conditional use, or not?
Kind of statement that
it's not a conditional
use
for this.
No action needed or something.
Yep. I would entertain a motion to, so this is not seen as a conditional use. Would anybody like to make a motion to that? Or, where did, however,
How would that word?
do what?
How would that word? That could be, because it's this instance, we don't.
This issue.
Yeah, this issue. So I make a motion that in this
12
instance,
Hickory Drive.
12 Hickory Drive, that it is not needed for the conditional use.
Okay. We have a motion by Ryan. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Patrick. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. Joey, we appreciate your time.
Thank all of y'all, appreciate your time, and we will work very hard to be good stewards of that property.
All right, thank you. And thank you everybody for the comments out there.
Yes, thank you. Insurances.
All right, the, last item of business is the Hill Farm maintenance bond. And it says, basically, I just have a note here that says we have received the maintenance bond for Hill Farm in the amount of $250,000 for street strength. I don't believe there's any thing that's required as far as any action by the planning commission. It just needed to be read into the minutes for the planning commission for the notes here. Okay? All right. Any additional announcements? I noticed we have a handout here regarding mobile food unit policy. Is that, do we need to work that? This is like for our information.
Mr. Chairman, I'm derelict in my duty. I didn't even know that was there.
No, that's fine. And then also, please note that we have that from the last month, if you had any comments regarding some of those directives regarding structure, I think the construction techniques, please let the city know,
Mr. Chairman,
okay.
that will be coming up again at the council. Mr. Foster is going to be making a presentation on the building codes.
Okay.
And I would highly recommend, I know Ryan had some ideas, and if you've got ideas, get them to the council members.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
We're growing.
I appreciate your efforts, and we'll go on to the next one. All right. We're adjourned 7:58 p.m. Thank you.